Today, The Breach is brought to you by
Highlights! Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs.
Hello.
Hello, we're here. I wanted to say hello that way because we haven't been here all month.
I know, it's been so sad.
We've had a lot of stuff going on personally that's just been limiting our ability to be here at this beautiful. You guys can't see the table. There's a table here. We're not floating in the air. There's a table here.
We could
Chairs.
be.
Yeah, we're meditating.
It's
with that.
yeah, it was a long month, and we thought about you daily.
Daily. It plagued in my mind of how many videos we were not making for you all. So we needed to make a video. One, just to make another video because we love talking to you guys, talk to each other, but also because we went through 4 weeks of the Unexpected Sermon Series without a video to talk about the things that happened in that sermon.
It's a good thing we're not the Weather Channel.
That's true, although we would maybe be more accurate as far as what the weather is going to be.
No?
All right, well, I'm just saying, unpredictable. Unexpected is the weather.
Yeah.
There you go. Everybody, weather's unexpected. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some highlights from the past 4 sermons. We're going to talk about them. And I thought about this, and I told Tim earlier, we're going to do a throwback to when we used to do some games on the show.
Yes.
And I'm going to I made a game for Tim.
That he didn't tell me about yet.
That I didn't tell him about yet, and it's going to be fun. So here's what we're going to do, Tim. So I have taken I'm going to move this so you can't see. No peeking.
Okay.
I have 4 quotes, either from Aaron or from someone he quoted during his sermon. And then you are going to try to determine which sermon it was from. All right? So the 4 sermons that he has preached on in the past 4 weeks were I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, okay. The 4 sermons were Why Not Jesus?
Why Not Jesus, okay.
Walk Forward in Faith.
Okay.
Power of a Compassionate Man.
So Why Not Jesus? Walk Forward in Faith. Power of a Compassionate Man.
And 6 Rules for the Road.
6 Rules for the Road.
So I'm going to give you one individual quote that either Aaron said or that he quoted someone else as saying, and you're going to tell me which of those the quote, which sermon goes which quote.
All right.
Okay?
And what was the second one again?
The second one was Walk Forward in Faith.
Walk Forward in Faith, okay.
Okay. So, the first quote is this. If faith alone in Jesus isn't enough, my relationship with God will always be a question mark.
That sounds very Why Not Jesus.
That was Why Not Jesus. Congratulations! Ding, 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 ding. We don't have good sound effects.
No, we don't. We do. We have the worship team has a launch pad. We could definitely steal the worship team's launch pad.
Let's do it. I mean, it's not steal because we're part of that.
They don't even use it anyway.
Yeah, that's good. So what we're going to do, though, as he gets these right or gets them wrong, we're going to...
Give me $20.
Give me $20. No, we don't have that money to give you. We'll talk about it. Let's talk about that topic. Great. So real quick, let's talk about if faith alone in Jesus isn't enough, my relationship with God will always be a question mark. And I remember when he said this, I love that we had a conversation, I think in this office, like 2 or 3 weeks before he preached this sermon about this topic.
Yeah.
About, faith versus works.
Yeah.
And that's really what this conversation's about, right? So if my faith alone, to trust in Jesus to save me alone, isn't enough, then I'm always going to wonder, did I do enough works? Did I check off enough? Did I get close enough, perfect attendance to church to get to heaven?
Yeah, it's so, and I love that it's going to be, we say question mark, and when we don't have answers to things, it's really stressful. And our relationship with God's not supposed to be stressful. And I even know people who, they brought their kids to another church, and they felt this overwhelming sense of dread and guilt because they felt like when they did that, their kids weren't going to go to heaven now. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. Jesus is enough, and all we have to do is make sure Jesus is enough. And I think practically that means that when we feel like we need to complete some work so that our relationship with Jesus is good, maybe don't complete the work, or pinch it off, and then go spend some time with Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I think because the thing is, like, so works are part of your faith, right?
Right.
Your faith will be expressed through works of of loving people and caring for people and following after God.
Right.
That's going to
Absolutely,
happen
yeah.
because of your faith. But like your determining factor whether or not you have a relationship with Jesus is all about your faith in Him.
Yeah.
It's not about like, hey, did you give X amount of dollars? Like, 'cause if that's the case, like, okay, well, how many dollars do I need to give before now my faith and my dollar amount? Like, is there like an exchange ratio? Like, $10 equals like 2 faith points. I need like X amount of faith points to get to heaven. And so like Jesus himself is 100 points, but I assume to make up the rest. Like,
and it gets really
that's all weird,
complicated
yeah.
when you add sin into the equation, because then you lose points for
Right,
it's
there's
just
deductions.
it's a mess.
It's like Harry Potter house points. It's like who's the ultimate house winner? Like are Baptists gonna win the house cup and go to heaven? What's coming on now?
I think for those of you out there that remember camp, they're about as confusing as camp points, because if you've ever been to camp,
The first day it's like, all right, whoever wins this is gonna get 5 points. By the last day it's like, hey, you got a t-shirt on. That's 5 million points for that guy. This t-shirt
and
on.
no one counts the points. And the speaker at the camp always hands out points like candy. And again, no one writes down how many points people ended up with. And at the end of the week, they just hope that you're so tired no one asks what color won.
It was the blue team.
Yeah,
Go
so
for
that's
blue.
that's how that ends up working. It ends up being confusing. We can't try to buy our way into a good relationship with Jesus.
Right.
Jesus has to be enough. Our time with Him in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon has to be enough, and it is enough. And when we make it enough, is when we really start to understand who God is in our lives, and it's a really special thing.
Awesome. All right. Next quote.
Next quote. Quote number 2.
Here it comes. A response takes into consideration not only me, but also those around me.
The compassionate Father one.
Ah, yeah, you got it. All right. I don't know.
And I
what's-
wasn't even here that Sunday.
I don't know why I was so mad about you getting it though. What's wrong with you knowing what Aaron said?
Normally you give me games that make me look like I'm an idiot. So
I know.
this is
This
tough.
is good. Exactly. I made it. It's a fun game. So
And I just want to let you know too that I was totally uninvolved for that sermon. Me and my wife weren't able to be at church that morning, so that was.
Yeah, that was. I think that was a deduction thing. You were like, you know what? I don't remember hearing that one, so that's probably the one that I didn't hear. Which means you need to subscribe to our podcast and listen to the sermons.
Apparently, yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there for you. And for you guys, if you're not if you're not following our podcast on anywhere you get podcasts, so iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcast just released their just their own podcast app that's exclusive for podcasts now called Google Podcast.
That is
Download
way
that.
better than using Google Music.
It is, and it auto plays the next podcast in the thing, so it's awesome.
Instead of being backwards.
Yeah, instead of being backwards, and like it'll autoplay the next instead of like just stopping to click the next one. Like so, if I listen
Oh,
to,
I see what you're
so,
saying.
So I have my long drive.
So,
I'm in the car
yeah.
for 2.5 hours. So instead of having to like, okay, now like scroll through, click the next one, it'll autoplay the next episode,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. So, but we have all of our sermons on there, and also extra conversations we have with pastors, missionaries. Check it out. Today at the Bridge on anywhere you get podcasts. So, small plug there. But yeah, so response takes into consideration not only me, but those around me. And this is about being intentional with how we react to life.
Right.
Or how we respond to life is the whole point of the sermon. You weren't here for it, but the idea was that the reaction is instinctual. Like we will react to things. If I put my hand on a hot stove, I'm going to react to that. Right. But like a response is like, okay, I know there is hot things around me. I'm going to be more intentional with where I put my hand so I don't burn myself.
Right.
Or oh no, I've hurt my hand. Let me go ahead and I'll put cold water on it and I'll bandage it and I'll do the things I need to do because now something happened. Let me respond to that instead of reacting to it. But the idea behind this too as well was that when you're taking a response to things and you're being responsible and you're being, you're showing compassion to people, is that your responses don't just look at like, hey, how's this going to benefit me, but those around me, right? So like a reaction to your house being on fire might be, hey, I'm going to get out of my house because it's on fire. I don't want to be inside of it. Where a response says, okay, I'm in my house. I smell smoke. Let me get my kids and my wife and our pets or whatever we have, and we're going to gather them.
To leave now.
To leave now through a premeditated escape route, right? It's
Right.
like, okay, so hey, if you're on this floor, go out this window because that has the shortest distance from there because the deck is there, so it's the shorter distance from here than jumping into the front yard.
Right.
So like having like knowing, hey, I'm going to respond to this, and I'm going to hey, okay, I've got you. Okay, let me grab these two. Let me grab this one. Let's go and do the action that we need to take, right? Because it's a response to what's going on, as opposed to a reaction to what's going on, and it includes taking care of others, which is how Christians should respond. Like our whole life is meant to be like a response of including others and how we care for them and how we take care of them.
And I want to really drive home the point too is it's not only taking care of our own. People get really excited to take care of family and friends. People get excited to take care of their church, but sometimes you have to take care of someone else and that you don't know. We had when I was a kid, my dad was in ministry and we would get burnt out.
Right.
Because that's normal. Burnout is probably a strong word. We would get tired. And I could tell when my dad was getting tired. And getting tired is a normal thing. And what we would do is we would go to another church on an off service, like a Wednesday night service or a Sunday night, a service where my dad wasn't pastoring his church, just to sit. And I remember doing that as a kid, and it was a big church. It was a big church. I remember because you're in a big church when they have the theater seating, like we have to fold the seat down.
Yeah,
like like that. As a kid, that to me meant that this church had it going on. So we were sitting there in the service, and we had the bulletin. In the bulletin, it said that there was going to be a special collection. I think the church's name was Crossroads or something like that. And what was this to this day? I remember this. It just clear as can be. This pastor gives a small talk on giving, and at the end of his sermon, he gives a small thing about giving.
Right.
And he says, church, me and the leaders have sat down and we've done the demographics and we've multiplied it by how many people that are in here, and we should be bringing in, $5 or $6 million a year based on the 10% tithe rule that the Bible talks about in the Old Testament. And he said we budget for like $2 million. So it's supposed to be $6 million. We budget for $2 million. Remember, this is a huge church in another country, so these don't freak out. It's normal. So
it's Australian dollars.
It's Australian dollars. They milk is $6 a gallon there. It's a mess. So we budget for $2 million. He says right now we're only bringing in like $750,000. Like I remember that it being lower, and he go, we're shaking toner in the copier before making, like our bulletins are black and white now to save money. Like, he's going through all these things, and then he says, you know what? I'm standing here, and I believe that God has called me. We're not going to do this. In your bulletin, it says that we're going to take up a special collection for Crossroads Church today, but there's a church up the street that I know is really struggling financially, and they're not paying their pastor well and all that kind of thing. So I want you guys to give like you'd be giving to our church, and I want to let you know that we're going to write a check to the church down the street, and we're going to bless their socks off.
Wow.
And that is caring for that people aren't a part of that church down the street. They're part of the church that we were sitting in.
Right.
And we want to take care of our own. We want to make sure our own pastor is taken care of. But sometimes there's a church up the street that needs to be taken care of. Sometimes there's a guy outside that needs to be brought in so that we can take care of him. Sometimes there's someone that won't ever come in, but we still need to take care of them. Caring for people well is a cornerstone of Christianity.
Right.
Jesus is the cornerstone, but caring for people is incredibly important.
Right.
And it's imperative. Don't miss out on that.
There you go. And it's part of our responsibility how to respond to life and respond to our faith is to care for others. That's awesome. All right. 2 more quotes.
Okay.
And now you're like 50 now. Now you're like pretty much all into it. So, okay. You don't have to go far to reach people who are far from God.
That is the 6 rules for the road.
Yes, it is. Congratulations. Bonus point. Do you remember which point that was under?
That was number
2.
Oh,
no.
3?
Nope.
1.
There you go. It was embrace the opportunity in front of you was the point.
Okay.
Which I only know this because I literally just did all the overlays for the sermon last night. So I was like, I have a
I remember that being because I do the bulletin, the notes. And I remember that being up towards the top, but I didn't want to say 1. I should have.
You should have. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so you don't have to go far to reach people who are far from God, right? And the
Right.
idea behind this one, kind of in our same, I like how all these tie together. It's crazy how like the Bible is like one cohesive story and it all ties together, right? Isn't that so strange?
You know, it's actually really interesting you say that, and I encourage you guys to do that as well. I'm studying Matthew because I want to be more intimate with God. So I'm studying Matthew.
Right.
And it's been really interesting. And normally I don't take a lot of notes in my Bible, but like when you crack open Matthew now, it's just like chock-a-block full of just like thoughts. And I have a cross-reference Bible where it shows like
Right.
some of the prophets in the Old Testament. It's nuts. Two things. It's nuts how closely Matthew ties into the like Isaiah and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Further, I totally understand why Israel is totally a rabbit trail. We'll get off it in a second. But I totally understand why Israel thought that Jesus was going to come in and put the Bristol stomp down and kick Rome out. Because like the verses that talk about Jesus coming, talks about him being a conqueror and taking up weapons and like
Right.
but those prophets meant it spiritually, not physically.
Right. That's
But
hard.
anyway, it's just great. So do both. Read those prophets and then read this Matthew and Mark, Luke, John. It's really, really interesting.
Really interesting. But yes, I mean, but you don't have to go far to reach people who are far from God. Like
Right.
so, I mean, there's people in front of you right now that you interact with that are far from God, and that could be someone who maybe came to your church before. It could be somebody who, a friend. It could be a family member. It could be, you know, the cashier at Wawa. It could be, you know, your bank teller or a coworker or everywhere you go. Like if you were to walk through a street in any part of your town and put your arms out like this and then just walk forward, your hand will probably hit somebody who's far from God.
Yeah.
Within, I would say, 30 seconds of walking.
Right.
Right? And like, you don't have to, you know, we have this big idea of, well, you know, if I'm not like Curry Kondracki or Josh Bell or, you know, or even Pastor Aaron, right? And I'm not, you know, a full-time vocational minister of the gospel, and I'm out, you know, doing stuff, then I'm not going far enough. I'm not finding people who are far from God.
Right.
Right. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to be someone who's like, you know what, I'm gonna, you know, move to another country and reach people with the gospel. Like, you can do that or where you are here in front of you, and there's opportunities around all of us to show love to people, to show them that God cares for them, and to tell them as well. Don't just show them, tell them, hey, you know, hey, I'm glad to do this for you. I just want you to know that I'm doing this because, you know, we have a great God and he loves you.
Right.
And it can be something as simple as that, and they're not far from you.
Yeah.
You know, so there you go. The last one.
Yeah.
Because it's you know where it's from. So at this point, because we already used the other.
Yeah.
I should have.
Well,
more
they
than
just-
one,
anyway.
Sorry. So nothing sets a person so much out of the devil's reach as humility, and this is actually a quote from Jonathan Edwards that Aaron included in his sermon.
So say that again.
Nothing sets a person so much out of the devil's reach as humility.
You know, I'm not gonna be 100% honest with you. I don't remember the title of the sermon. You gave me 4 of them, and I apparently can only retain 3.
There you go. Well, so you know which one it is though. You just don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's the walk forward in faith. Walk forward in faith.
Yeah. You probably should have led with that one because that would have been really hard for me to pick up on.
Maybe.
Oh well.
I don't know. Whatever. You know what? What you gonna do? I tried to keep the first one with the word faith in it, so
Yeah.
you'd think it was the faith one, and then just throw you off that way. It just didn't work. It's all right. Listen, sometimes we have games, and I'm tricky and clever, and sometimes I have games where I really just want to talk about 4 different topics, and so I find a way to do it.
Yeah,
So
well,
hey.
So
welcome
you
to our
said games
process.
though. You said games. I'm gonna run with that idea for a second.
Okay.
Because humility is really important.
Okay.
Humility. One of my favorite quotes about humility is that humility is so shy it runs away at the sound of its name. So you can't say I'm humble because now you're not. Because humility is tricky. Humility is going out of your. Actually, while I'm talking about this, you want to look up the proper definition of humility?
Sure.
Okay. Because I don't remember what it is off the top of my head.
That's why we have Google.
Yeah, Google. So humility is really important, and humility is something that's really difficult to describe, because when you talk about yourself being humble, it's kind of weird. But something that I've noticed has been really helpful, because I struggle with humility. My default setting is to be very loud and upfront and like, look how awesome I am. And, you know, there's been a couple different opportunities that God's given me, even really recently, where humility is really, really difficult in ways that would kind of make everyone goofy, or laugh at me because it's goofy. But one of the things that's really helped is it like how is it really a game that you play with yourself, and how anonymous can I be as I walk through life? Because God's going to call you to do difficult things, and God's going to call you to do special things, and God's going to call you to do amazing things. And other people see those things and they think those things are amazing. But how secret can you be about it? You know, how can you sponsor a student for Send a Student anonymously? Can you give without making sure your change rattles in the bucket? Can you cook and leave before you're there to take the credit for a large group of students? What can you do anonymously? Because when you do those things anonymously, you really have to have a motivation other than other people, and that motivation can be, Christ asking us to care for people.
Right.
So what is the definition of humble?
Technically, it's a modest or low view of one's own importance. Yeah. I like looking at that. I like the idea of it's a modest view, not a low view, because humility does not have to mean that you think you're scum.
Yeah,
right?
Humility is not self-loathing.
Yeah, it's because self-loathing humility is just pride wrapped up inversely, right? That's all it is.
Yeah, that's pride in a bad suit.
Right. So it's a modest view, like
right.
Understanding of like, hey, I am this person. I do these things, and I do it because I love Jesus, and all the good things that come out of it is because Jesus is using me to impact others.
Right.
Right. That would be humility. Right?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you have to remember God. Isaiah 43 says that God has called you by name, and you are His. Right. So there's importance there. You're valued.
Right. Yeah, and understanding your importance is not wrapped up in it's not wrapped up in the things that you do. Like my value, my importance is wrapped up in who Jesus is. Like at the end of the day, like that's what like I have, me. I'm just me. I'm a person. I'm just hey, I do my life. I try to love people. I try to take care of my family and my church and those around me. I do what I can, and I pray that I'm doing a great job with that. I pray that and God uses me in that. But then my value is not built up. My value is not built into where I work or being a father or any of that kind of stuff.
And back to Isaiah 43, it's interesting because it doesn't say I love you and you're mine because you're beautiful and the greatest and you're fantastic. It says I've called you by name, you are mine, and then the rest of that passage talks about how awesome God is.
Yeah.
It doesn't talk about how awesome we are because we suck. Yeah. But we're important, and God has redeemed us, and He has called us by name, and we are His, and He has this plan and this purpose and we're special to Him. But we should have that modest, not self-loathing view of ourself and our abilities. And something that I've found is a lot of times when we vocalize our own attributes, it really gives the enemy, Satan, a foothold.
Right. To
tear us down. And something I'm learning as being a leader is, when I came into this 2 years ago, I was really excited, and I tried to be humble, but it's hard to be humble sometimes. And, I can do, I'll do this for you, and I'll take care of that for you. And Zach's even experienced that with me in particular, hey, I'll make sure that I get my sermon notes in by Thursday, and then they just don't get put in. It goes back to the secret thing. I'm not saying don't commit, but I'm saying don't overcommit. Know what you're capable of. Under promise, over deliver. Be modest. Don't be flashy. And know that you're special, but you're not special because you're special because of Christ.
Right. I mean, there's a level of knowing who you are, and that's an important part of your life and part of your walk with Christ is to know who you are. But really, we need to know who we are in Christ, and that's the important thing. And actually, there's another quote that I didn't use because it has the word faith in it basically twice. I didn't use it for this one, but a quote from this sermon that I really enjoyed was faith in Jesus begins with a faithfulness of Jesus.
Yeah,
and that's really where it comes down to, right? Like your faith, your life is wrapped up in how faithful Christ has been to you and to me and to you and to the world, and that's where our faith begins. And that's why humility is such a detractor from falling into the enemy's trap is that, okay, if I understand that it's not me that's doing these things, then I know that, hey, I need to rely on Christ more than ever. So I don't get into the trap of, well, I'm good, I can handle this, I can overcome this, I can do this, because I need to understand that, like, I am who I am because I have a God who's faithful to me.
Yeah.
And so that was part of that. So yes, there we go. So that's our highlights of the past 4 weeks. We apologize for being a month behind on the videos. Please forgive us, oh sweet internet people. I don't. That sentence got away from me. Sometimes
I'm sitting here staring off into space, and you're rambling. That was a mess.
it was terrible. This video's gone on way too long at this point.
Where are we at?
We're at
Oh my
30
goodness!
minutes. So if you've stayed this long and watched the whole thing, God bless you.
Well, we had to make up for lost time.
It's true. We put in, if you divide that by 4, we only put in less than 10 minutes on each of these topics.
So closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. I mean, at the end of the day, love Jesus, love people. I wrote that
And don't tell anyone about it.
don't tell anybody. No. Tell them you love them.
No.
Tell them God loves them. Tell Jesus you love them.
Yeah. I was trying to go for the humble piece.
The
but
humble
that-
piece.
That
it was a weird tie-in.
That was like a moldy piece of humble.
Moldy humble pie.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh, that's been in the fridge too long. No, I mean, I wrote down a couple of things we did recently as well that we haven't had a chance to talk about. I'm going to quick highlights. We had graduation Sunday on
Yes.
Sunday with our high school students and middle
And
school
when does this video go up?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's Wednesday.
So this goes up. No, so this is going to go up Wednesday.
Wednesday the 20.
Okay, so the reason I say that is because if you're seeing this on Wednesday, good job, you're subscribed. And secondly, if you didn't get a chance to, I know some people said that they didn't get a chance to leave notes in students' Bibles because it was too crowded around the table. We're not giving those Bibles out until the next Sunday.
Cool.
And there's not going to be a ceremony next Sunday, so if you're a student, you're not missing out on it. It's going to be on the sly, but you have until next Sunday to come in and leave a note in a Bible if you'd like to.
Right. But I put in one of the teens' Bibles. I highlighted my life verse, which is the James 1:27, pure religion is, and unfathomable God fathers this is to comfort the orphans and widows in affliction and to remain unspotted from the world, right? And then I wrote in the front, I was like, remember your first priority is to love Jesus and love others.
Right.
You just do that. Right? Just like do that. If you love people and you love God and because like at the end of the day, like Christ told us, like they will know we're His followers by the way that we love each other.
Right.
And if you do that, you're going to find yourself being humble because I care more about what you're doing than what brings me honor, right? And I know that God's going to work through me with His power to help you and to help me. And I'm going to take care of us and be responsible for those around me. I'm going to be compassionate towards others. I'm going to, trust in Christ for Him to bring me satisfaction. So do that. Thank you so much for watching. Do you have any final thoughts?
No.
There you go. So enjoy your week. And we'll see you guys hopefully next week.
Peace
Bye.
be still. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see the sermon from this Sunday, go ahead and click the video on top.
And to see more videos like this one, click the video on the bottom. If you want to hear more from Zach and Tim, check out our podcast, Today at the Bridge, and anywhere podcasts are found.